Left, it goes into the corner. It's taken in back to the net, and the siren goes, and that ends the first period.
After one, we are all square at 2-2. That period alone, boys, was worth the price of admission, I'd say. Feels like we've already gone through a whole game. Anything that stuck out to you two after the first 20 minutes of action?
Like, you just want me to name one thing that stuck out after the first 20 minutes?
You can whatever you like.
Never seen a player openly threaten to hit a ref over the head with a stick before. So that stands out. Beyond that, you know what? Like, after the first 5 minutes, though, when I guess maybe the tension kind of was settled, and maybe Bergman and Esposito taking 20 minutes to talk to the refs, maybe it kind of calmed things down, because it's like after the first 5 minutes when the teams kind of really dig into playing hockey, this is a really good game, man.
On what the actual offense is, or foul. The puck is now from the face-off into the Soviet zone. Vasiliev cleared in front of his own net. It's grabbed off by Henderson momentarily. Yakushev comes away on the right wing, closes in with his shot wide. It bounced in front of the net. Shattersky scores! Shedrin got that loose puck. And that put the Soviet one up there.
In classic Dryden fashion, he is caught off guard by the bouncing puck. Shadrin capitalizes, and just like that, 21 seconds into the second period, the Soviets take the lead. Just classic Kenny D right there.
Classic Kenny D.
Oh,
you know what? Of all the goals he surrenders in this game, in the series, that's the one that I'd almost fault him the least, because there's no glass behind the net. It's chicken wire. It's like fishing wire. The velocity of a shot that goes off that thing gets propelled back in front of the net just as fast, if not faster. And that's something that is hard to get used to if you're used to having plexiglass behind you, where the puck will take a bounce any which way, but not as forcefully. That came right back into the slot where Shadrin was waiting to bury that home. Shadrin there with his third goal of the series, and there we are, 21 seconds in. Do you think that the series would have been tilted heavily in Canada's favor if both Bobby Orr and Bobby Hull played?
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Ooh, see, that's an interesting question.
A healthy Bobby Orr?
Well, I mean, healthy as in not injured like he was here. He practiced with the team. He wasn't hung up in bed, but he had knee surgery. He's 24, poor guy. He's coming off his 6th season, and he's already battling these horrible knee injuries. But if he was healthy enough to play, Bobby Orr's playing, he's in the lineup, he must be healthy. I think he would have really, really paid dividends to the point where they could have stole a couple of those Soviet wins back.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think the Soviets had ever seen anything like Bobby Orr, and you're talking about arguably the greatest player of all time. Probably. Well,
they knew of Bobby Orr and Bobby Hull. They were scared of both of them, so they were quite relieved when neither of them played.
So I would assume I think that's tough, because I think Bobby Orr and Bobby Hull. Bobby Orr is obviously the best player in the NHL at this time, and Bobby Hull would have been up there, and obviously didn't play because Alan Eagleson didn't want WHA players, so that's why Cheevers and Sanderson and a whole bunch of other guys aren't playing in this series too. So I guess a little bit of an ego thing of not wanting the WHA guys represented. But I think it's kind of tough to say, because I think part of the reason the series got so tight was because of the unknown that the Soviets were to a lot of the guys on the Canadian team. And I don't know if you have a healthy Bobby Orr, I mean, it probably helps. If you give any team the best player in the world, it's going to help them, right? So it probably doesn't end up playing out the same way. But I mean, at the same time, right? If you want to play that game too, it'd be well, what if maybe they have Bobby Orr, and maybe in the final minute of a game he gives the puck away uncharacteristically, and the Soviets score or something, right? You can kind of, if you mix and match, what if also on players, it's what if the players do something different that wouldn't have the outcome either way, right?
The Team Canada jerseys were designed by an ad agency called Vickers and Benson, and they almost called themselves the Dream Team. People often think that the Dream Team, the basketball team in Barcelona '92, was the inaugural namesake of that. Dream Team, such a cool name. Like it's associated with Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley and Ewing and all those guys that played in the States for 92 Olympics. But Team Canada here was in fact almost called the Dream Team, but the name was rejected and went with Team Canada instead.
So they're going to go with fucking the Dream Team instead of Team Canada?
Well, they didn't go with it.
No, but they were thinking about that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that sounds terrible. That sounds... Even like the Dream Team, though, is just like a nickname. Like their official name is still like USA Basketball or something, right?
Could you imagine, would we hold this Summit Series as in high regard as we do if it was called if it was Russia versus the Dream Team?
The Dream Team. Oh man, could you imagine working at the hall having to explain what the Dream Team is? It's Team Canada. What? Why is it called the Dream Team? Because Vickers marketing. I don't know.
Especially all the Americans coming in.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Michael Jordan was good at hockey. It's like, yeah, he took some time off between saving the Looney Tunes and baseball to play hockey.
I wonder how many Americans watched these games if they were broadcast at all. Like they obviously would have cared for. Because 72 Olympics, the summer games in, if I'm not mistaken, it was in
Germany. I think.
Munich, correct, yes.
Germany.
And there was a controversial gold medal basketball game between the States and the Soviets where I can't remember for sure, but it was something like the States won, the clock ran out, but then they said, no, there was still time on the clock. The Soviets inbounded the ball, scored, and won.
Yeah. And
it was huge controversy. So I think that this being like a month later, they just hated the Soviets at an all-time level in the sake of Cold War sport. At this time, they put the man on the moon 3 years ago. Soviets have control of the satellites. Wasn't pretty, man.
What did you say? Like 16 out of the 22 million Canadians were watching the game or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually heard like an American viewership number for this game. I have no idea. I genuinely do not know the answer to this question.
And Leanoff was bowled over on the play. Canada coming back. Cornway and Mahamley right in. And the shot was grabbed by Tretiak. And you don't find one any closer than that. Tretiak was knocked right over zone. Rattel got the draw. Gilbert turns, waits, stands there. Still backing up, takes his shot, is right in front of the score! Bill White deflected it into the net. Bill White from, and the score is all tied up.
Beautiful slap pass from Gilbert, catches Tretiak flat-footed. Bill White is on the receiving end to tap it in. It's been a back and forth affair, wouldn't you say, lads? No clear momentum gainer at this point.
I feel like Canada is by far the superior team in the second period. It's more open play too, which you wouldn't really expect. You think the Soviets would take advantage with the width of the rink and their breakout mechanisms, but I think this is Canada's period right here.
Yeah, it's much better than the first period for Canada, that's for sure. I think it's kind of a brilliant play there with Gilbert just kind of setting up on the half boards there, and a little bit of like a no-look backdoor pass. Bill White times that pinch really well. And you can kind of see like the Russian defenders are a little late to kind of pick them up there. So, it's a brilliant play. It's a lot of, no one's really able to like kind of take a hold of the game yet. So it's very, very, man, like I can't imagine watching this, like how you would probably have no fingernails. The edge of your seat would be evaporated by now. You just like, it would be it's intense hockey game.
Oh,
a big save by Trey.
What a chance there Gilbert had. Bill White coming off his first of 3 consecutive seasons where he was third place in Norris Trophy voting, and also first of 3 consecutive seasons where he was on the second All-Star team. So he was a name for those 3 years between 71 through 74 where he was amongst the top defensemen in the league for Chicago. 33 years old, he was fortuitously granted an opportunity to play in the NHL because of the 67 expansion. He was 28-year-old rookie taken by the Kings, played there for 2.5 years, and then played his remaining days in Chicago and retired in 1976.
The Soviet, one man back. Here they're closing in. Mihailov shoots, And Dryden came up with a dazzling save.
And a huge save by Kenny D. Robbie, you turned your head and looked away. You don't want to admit that was Ken Dryden saving the game for Canada.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Am I right?
Well,
I mean,
it was
Mikhailov rips this too. Like that's a good. Like he gets all of that shot.
8:21 left in the second period, and you hear that Canadian crowd really whooping it up. Canada carrying the play at this stage. He's a roller right in front of the net. They score! Yakushev was right in front of the net. And there's that deadly shot again from close hand.
A weird series of bounces leaves Yakushev alone in front, and he promptly tucks it past Dryden. Just when you think Canada gained some momentum, lads, the Russians regain their footing 4-3. Wow. Just right after, on the heels of a big Dryden stop, he has no chance on that one.
Hey.
I actually think this is actually a really sneaky play from Shadrin as he kind of wins the face-off forward on Esposito and then just drops it back into the slot. And yeah, whoever was supposed to be on Yakushev
Brad Park.
Yeah, Brad Park. Yeah, he forgot the memo that this guy is now the best player on the team. So as Foster Hewitt has been saying, probably been the best player on the ice. You might want to stick with that dude. As he makes his way to the slot after a face-off. And Dryden goes from an unreal save to just giving up the next goal. So real quick. So
once again, Yakushev takes the lead in goals and points. The 7th goal and his 11th point in the series.
Away from him. Soviet return fast. Blinov. Here's Petrov coming into Blinov at one side of the net, and that slider went wide. The Soviets get it again. Blinov over on the far wing. Here's a fake shot to Blinov in front of the net.
Oh, Phil Esposito.
Ooh. So yeah.
Kenny D.
Not even the best goalie on Team Canada.
Well, Tony Esposito and Eddie Johnston were also there.
Jesus.
Eddie Johnston got picked to be the 3rd stringer just because Jerry Cheevers was banned. So they're like, oh, well, they're a goaltending duo in Boston. Eddie, do you want to go instead? Okay, said Eddie.
Yakushev goes back to the blue line, trying to draw his man away. Yakushev still has it on that far side. Passes back on the boards. There's that tic-tac-toe passing play. Vasiliev is going to take a shot. There'll be another penalty on the play. They simply score. Chandra deflected it into the net.
A delayed penalty had the Canadians on their heels. Vasiliev walks in and banks it in off of White. At first, I thought Shadrin got a piece. But the Soviets have a 2-goal advantage now. It's 3rd B.
Yeah, I thought Shadrin got a piece of this too, but I guess what they officially say it's Vasiliev's goal. I guess it banked off someone's skate out in front. Then
yeah, and they say Shadrin gets the assist. In fact,
oh, how bizarre! All right.
In the box scores that I read after the game,
I mean,
give it to Vasiliev.
Yeah, Vasiliev is clearly trying to pass that to Shadrin, but
yeah,
I guess it works out pretty well for them in the end. And
but good golly, the momentum's totally shifted now, 5-3. How would you feel as a Canadian watching back home if we were in grade school, where let's say we're in grade 5, what have you, and the teacher wheeled in that little trolley, massive, like, well, I wonder how big those TVs were back in the day.
Probably weren't that big back then.
Probably not. Like the little square box cube, wheel it in. The kids know we're about to watch something great, or maybe they didn't, but they're treated to something here. And it's a bit disappointing. 5-3 late in the second. I feel like hope is lost. How would you guys be feeling?
I'd feel pretty upset, to be honest with you. Like, imagine like your child, all your hopes and dreams. Like, this is your life at this moment. Like, all your hopes and dreams are riding on this. And your team.
So much more nationalism back then too, especially during the Cold War. Ways of life.
Oh yeah. Like now, like when we see Canada get beat, we're just like, oh well, that sucks, but we'll get them next time.
Yeah,
it's just like, well,
that's what I mean though. This game's different, right?
Here it's like, do we have it? Like in a span of a month, we went from almost guaranteeing winning 7 out of the 8 easily. Dryden single-handedly saves us from going down 3 there.
I was gonna say that's a big save from Kenny there.
Big Kenny D, Robbie.
A big save.
I'm for it.
He's stepping up here.
But yeah, I mean, like this is in the month quickly from realizing we are not as elite as we think. They
Yeah.
are definitely closer in competition to us, and they're showing it time and time again. And it's all coming down to 22 minutes left in the series.
His shot hit the Soviets there. He gets it again. He's carried in on the side by Lutsenko, and the Soviets shoot it down, and the period is over.
After 2, it stands at 5-3 in favor of the Russians, although could have been a lot worse with Esposito without his heroics there. So there's a lot of stake here, gentlemen. Take us through the minds of Canadians. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but going into this third, how would you guys be feeling if you're in school, at home, at work, sitting on the edge of your seat, just waiting to hear what this final period has in store for us?
See, that's a question that I don't know if I can answer, if I can do it justice. I've never been there. This is such a one of a kind series. One period to play. I mean, whoever wins, wins. If they tie, the Soviets win. Like enormous pressure on Canada. They got 20 minutes to score 3 goals, basically, and prevent none. That's a lot to ask for. And basically, if you're asking me as a kid or an adult, if I were watching this back home on September 20th, 1972, how would I feel? I'd be a nervous wreck. If I cared about hockey the way I do, I would be a nervous wreck. And I feel like we've lost so much more than just the game. We've lost the crown as the kings of hockey in the world. Reputation is in tatters, and for the sake of the social politics of the world, we've lost that too. We've let down Western liberal capitalism. I mean, as tainted as it may be to some people now, I mean, back then you were straight up on the side of Canada, like no matter what you stood for, whatever your beliefs. I mean, no one in Canada is cheering for the Soviet Union here, plain fact. So it would be devastating. It'd be devastating feeling knowing that it's slipping away from us. So we just got to hope and pray that the boys keep that foot on the gas pedal and chip away. So this game, the puck dropped at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So basically anybody, so I've heard reports from older family friends of mine that either they skipped school, depending on how old they were, or they watched it in school. But basically at this particular point in the game, early third period, it's probably shortly after 3 o'clock. So if school's letting out soon, I wonder what the protocol was. Did kids straight up go home and miss a portion of the third period, or did they just say, stay here, watch the game, buses are delayed today? I'm curious to find out that, because it would be about 3:15 at this point in real time, in Eastern time. And if I was a grade 5, I'm not going anywhere. I'm rooted to the TV. Here comes Phil. Hey.
Esposito with his second goal of the game brings Canada back within 1. Mahovlich with a great effort to get the puck out front. Exactly what the Canadians needed to start out the period, boys. You could see it in their faces. A little bit of relief there almost. We got one. All we need is a couple more.
Yeah, they did it in 2.5 minutes, cut it to 1. Huge sigh of relief. Esposito, once again, ties Yakushev in both points and goals. They've been battling it out this whole series, and here we are. Both of them sitting on 7 goals and 11 points.
And Beta, to go to your point earlier too, that starts with a little bit of a Pete Mahovlich rush. And
yes, sir.
Wins the puck battle below the goal line, gets it out in front. Espo's got 2 cracks at it, which, I mean, 700 goals in the NHL. If you give him 2 attempts at it, it's probably going in, regardless of who that goalie is. But yeah, it's a big moment. Canada definitely needs that goal. Phil Esposito, man, putting the team on his back in this game.
Good old Italian boy from the Sioux.
Got it on the boards. Nikolov going up on the left wing. A shot. Dryden kicked it out. A rebound. And it's Rattel knocking it to the side. Soviet recover again. Passing back to the blue lines again. A shot. Dryden stopped it. And then covered up on the loose puck on the side of the net. 16-19 left in the third. Here's a fight in front of the Canadian goal.
Here comes Rod Gilbert throwing a punch with Mishakov. They fight. This is kind of the first fight. There's been rough stuff throughout the series. In fact, in Game 7, Mikhailov kicked Gary Bergman and cut him through his shin pad and drew blood. And Bergman criticized the whole joke of the officiating and the protocols taken on safety kind of like Tom Wilson. But here we go. We actually have punches being thrown in which in international hockey, they'd be thrown out of the game for this.
But they're not.
Instead, they each get 5 and they play 4-on-4 with both of them serving offset penalties.
Penalty for Canada. Now Clark steals the...
There's
Oof.
how to do this.
That was a good hit too.
On Bobby Clark, I think, as well. If they see, they know his number.
Oh yeah, that was Vasilyev with that hip check.
I love Foster Hewitt. Patty McCarthy told me that, I think it was in Hewitt's biography, that he suffered from Alzheimer's and was in a home the last couple of years of his life. I think he died in 1985, so just like a dozen years after this. And he was kind of starting to lose it, and he would just yell in the home, in the old folks' home. He would do play-by-play, just make it up. He'd just recite play-by-play, and half the guests would be like, "Shut up," and the others would be like, "Shh, you shut up. I want to hear the game. I want to hear Foster call the game."
Strength. 11:15 left as Nishikov comes down the right side, closing in. And Petrov.
So when they formalized and finalized the ethics of the series in Prague at the World Championships that April, it's customary that Canadian diplomats would bring the Soviet premiers and diplomats and like all the ambassadors, when they get together, they would bring them tape on the previous spring's Stanley Cup. So they brought them the tape of the 71 Cup finals between the Blackhawks and the Habs. And the Soviets, shortly after agreeing to do the series, thought that the tape was sped up of how fast it was, and shooting like Bobby Hull and Mikita and Cournoyer and Beliveau's last season. They were like, oh my God, this is going to be hard to compete with. They thought the tape was sped up.
The one thing too that I always find super interesting watching Soviet games is the coaches standing in front of the bench. I've never gotten used to that ever. I still don't really understand it, but yeah, I think that was like a Tarasov thing. Did he start that by like standing in front of the bench? But it's like every Russian coach seems to, at least from this era, just paces in front of the bench.
To Bergman. Bergman failed to get his shot. He took his man down. And they, from the side, the Soviet tried to clear out. Here's Maltsev coming down with Vishikov on the left. A shot. Right, saved on that. And the play is called.
It is such an odd rule.
So yeah, that's what I was talking about right there. It's like that I think before he actually shoots that, it's blown dead.
That's crazy.
Park is trying to come out on the left side. A long pass to Phil Esposito going in. He shoots. Oh, right in front of the net. Esposito banged that. Here's another shot by Cournoyer. His goal! Canada!
We're back all tied thanks to Yvon Cournoyer and his sweet, sweet thighs. Hell of a breakout pass from Park to Espo to get the train rolling. 5 aside. And what a finish we have in store, boys. Go right ahead. Beta, you said you had a lot to say. Say it.
I do. Here we go right here. So Cournoyer, great effort in front. Esposito deserves a lot of credit for digging. The goal, clearly we saw it hit the back of the net, but that robust tomato goal light that we were talking about, that looks so ugly. Excuse me. It fails to trigger. It does not trigger. The goal judge did not count the goal. So the goal light didn't go off. So the referees are like, wait, what actually happened? So they almost think about not allowing the goal to count, in which Alan Eagleson sees that. He takes exception. He starts barking and almost runs across the ice to get involved with the timekeepers and the KGB. So here we cut to it. He's getting attacked by police. Pete Mahovlich goes over, starts waving his stick at the officers who are trying to apprehend and arrest Eagleson for protesting. And all the players from Canada jump over the boards and go across to the penalty box where the timekeepers bench is to free Eagleson. The goal clearly counted. The refs eventually see that. Everyone knows it's fair. It was legal. And they free Eagleson, all the trainers getting involved. And as they pull Eagleson away, he gives them the fuck you. And you see some trainers flip the bird here. It's not a good sign from Canada. It's a very ugly scene, but it makes this game all the more classic. Eagleson making sure that it's ironic that he's like, this is corrupt. Look at him shaking his fist. This guy's like, screw all the KGB, screw the Soviet Union. You guys are trying to screw us over since day one. You took our steaks and our beers, and our women had to stay at different hotels. and it's reached a boiling point. And here we finally are rewarded with a tie game with 7.5 minutes to go. Cournoyer's third goal of the series. Esposito now sole possession of points leaders with 12 because he gets the primary apple. But that goal light didn't trigger. And in fact, in Game 7, Henderson scored the game-winning goal, the fourth goal for Team Canada. The goal light didn't go on there either, but it was clear as day it went in. So Team Canada hastily celebrated to make sure that no one else would overrule it. So this is like a repeat instance of just 2 nights prior. Not many people know that, but yeah, the goal light, you see the big cherry tomato right there, the ugly thing on a stick, did not go off, but the puck's in there, and then it quickly is out. But that goal counted. Eagleson was adamant and almost got himself arrested by the KGB. What a game.
One of my like low-key favorite things about this game too is this shot here, where you can actually see like the trainers are working on Mahovlich's skates after he jumped into the crowd, just as like a little kind of detail of what happened. Never really noticed that before, but as they cut to commercial, you can clearly see the trainer that so like politely gestured to the Soviet crowd quickly had to get to work to get Mahovlich actually to be able to get back on the ice, because I guess he messed up his skate when he hopped over the boards to a hop into the crowd. The other thing is too, though, is I feel like, do you think in hindsight, because hindsight's 2020, that the players maybe would have been like, we should have just left him over there?
Well, hindsight now, probably they're like, well, we shouldn't have saved him, but
yeah,
he was kind of important at the time.
He was important at the time. Yeah, it seems like a good move at the time. Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they. I think in fact,
15 years later,
they said
like,
they wouldn't have gone over for him. Like Espo and Mahovlich said that. But quick reactions from Timmins' boy Pete, man, playing the hero or the alleged hero, and going over to save their NHLPA executive.
Also, shout out to that equipment manager, because he gets Pete out back on the ice pretty quick after he messes up his skate on whatever the surface was over there.
The name Alan Eagleson is synonymous with hockey here at home and around the world. A consummate hockey man whose efforts founded the National Hockey League Players Association and introduced international hockey to North Americans, whose work led him to the Hockey Hall of Fame. But today, after 2 years of investigation by a U.S. grand jury, Eagleson is facing the toughest challenge of his career and 32 criminal charges. Rob Sinclair is in Boston and takes us through the story.
Today we are announcing the unsealing of an indictment against Alan Eagleson, the former executive director of the National Hockey League Players Association.
With that announcement, a lengthy grand jury investigation had finally reached a verdict. And based on the evidence, serious criminal charges were laid against Alan Eagleson.
Mr. Eagleson, over a period of 15 years, engaged in a pattern of racketeering, fraud, kickbacks, and self-dealing for himself and for others. Mr. Eagleson is alleged to have used his position as head of the NHL Players Union to conduct a racketing enterprise from 1975 until 1992, in which he committed various forms of fraud against the players, in which it is alleged he embezzled money and property from the association and from its members.
This indictment alleges that Mr. Eagleson used his position as the executive director of the Players Association for a period of some 15 or 20 years to steal monies, to embezzle monies belonging to the association and to the players of the National Hockey League, that he used his position to commit fraud on the players, that he used his position to engage in self-dealing, to personally profit to his benefit and to the detriment of the players.
Supposedly, Eagleson's Boston lawyer, Jeremiah O'Sullivan, appealed to high-level officials in Washington to avoid an indictment. They didn't listen. So Kelly expects Eagleson to be back in Boston to stand trial.
Well, with Eagleson facing 32 charges, his legal team will likely be spending a lot of time preparing a defense now. Alan Eagleson himself was not available to comment today, but his attorney, Jeremiah T. O'Sullivan, did issue a written statement in response to today's indictment. Here is how it reads. According to O'Sullivan, the indictment is, quote, remarkably vague and conclusory in its allegations and contains nothing more than a rehashing of stories which have been circulated in the press for a number of years. He continues, Mr. Eagleson is the target of this secret investigation for over 2 years and has had no opportunity to present evidence or to be heard by the grand jury. Also, the quote goes on to say Mr. Eagleson is innocent of all charges, and Mr. Eagleson looks forward to an opportunity to clear his name and to have his day in court.
One seemed to be in it. So it's Cournoyer from Esposito.
Yeah, so then, order a Canada Hall of Fame, but then, realize maybe how we got there. And deservedly stripped of all those.
The pressure from a lot of the Summit Series players, most notably, even though Orr didn't play, but Orr was on the team, and Brad Park, they said, if he's not removed from the Hall of Fame, I demand to be removed. I'm not going to share my face on a plaque on the wall with that man. And Eagleson, in fact, was the one who's asked to be removed because he knew that if the Hall did nothing, what would happen, and those players were not lying, they were not, that was not an empty threat. He offered to remove himself because he knew he was about to plead.
God damn.
Soviet trying to get out on the right side. Clearing up at center ice. Rattel over the line, 4:42 left in the game, and the Soviets arguing about the call.
Petrov just living in the penalty box in this game, eh?
Yeah, he and Dennis Hull get offset minors, and they continue to play 5-on-5 with only 4:36 to go.
And his shot was stopped by Tretiak. A clearing pass over on the left side. To center ice, 2:51 left in the game. The Soviet player Yakushev tried to hurdle in and was dumped on the play.
Great face-off posture positioning from Kenny D. Lumbering over there.
Well, he's got to get ready because he knows his centers aren't winning faceoffs. So offensive zone draw, like you saw what happened the previous time where they lost real quick, right? So
clock is ticking. Canada needs to score a goal. They are well aware they are down by 2 and goals for, and will lose the series.
Henderson carries out with Ellis the bad pass. The Soviet coming in, Mihailov is forced into the corner, centered it.
This is like the most intense 5 minutes of hockey ever played.
Foster Hewitt says during a lapse in play that this is one of the greatest games he's ever seen, which says a lot for a 70-year-old man who's broadcasted tens of thousands of games.
Minute 48.
Oh, the nation holding their breath.
Esposito won that face-off, so it's going to be big now.
They're trying to hit Cournoyer up right at center ice to prevent the 2-line, or hit him at the blue line from the other blue line there. That's what they're trying to do. Kampala almost eats shit there. He stumbles, looks back, looking for excuses in the dent in the ice. He doesn't find any. He's going to drop the puck. Esposito calls him in for a huddle like the true captain that he is. You love to see it. And now we've got about a minute 30 left, 90 seconds.
Oh, now he's using like his skate to win. This is like just full, like, we need to win this game now mode. Esposito completely turned it around. 3 for 3 at the draw in the last 2 minutes of the game.
He knows when to turn it on.
Yes, sir, he does. Pete Mahovlich on the ice. So what Paul Henderson does, he said he had an inkling while sitting on the bench that he could go and score the winning goal in the Summit Series for Team Canada. So sure enough, when he pops into frame, he allegedly called Pete Mahovlich off the ice, and Mahovlich thought it was Harry Sinden. So Harry Sinden's like, why'd you come off? I didn't call you off. And Henderson was already on the ice, making his dream a reality. So you see Mahovlich, he was the one forechecking there. You'll notice very soon he leaves. He gets off the ice.
It's kind of weird because it kind of blacks out like this here. And then Henderson just kind of shows up.
Now he shows up. So Mahovlich has been called off by Henderson. Cournoyer traps. Henderson making a beeline.
Here's a shot. Henderson made a wild stab for it and fell. Here's another shot. Right by the score. Henderson has scored for Canada. Henderson right in front of the net.
With 34 seconds left in the game, Paul Henderson puts the puck in the net. Unbelievable resolve from the Canadians to go up by 1. Esposito also picks up his 4th point of the night. With so much on the line, boys, unreal spot for Henderson to put his mark on the game. Beta, you alluded to it. He just had an inkling in his mind. He made his beliefs come to fruition. What a moment. Look at all these guys.
Yeah. Kenny D out there showing emotion.
Kenny D.
34 seconds left, and all of a sudden, and Pete Mahovlich there, look at that, classy, tapping Tretiak's pads. And look at the trainers. Phew, they're giving him one of these.
The trainer is not doing the necessarily classy thing, but
yeah, no, that's
probably the emotional,
the Canadian way, right? There's always ways we could
thing,
be classier for our gentlemanly appearance to the international sporting scene. But yeah, we were desperate. We were so desperate, we resorted to tactics like breaking the star player's ankle and almost decapitating a ref. It wasn't pretty, but look at that. It's all worth it because we're getting the job done now. For the first time in the series, we are leading. Well, I guess the first 5 minutes of game one, we were up 2-0. So we were leading the series there, but we're in a position to finally actually lead and win the series for the first time, all 8 games. We always promised ourselves, we always told ourselves up until the start of the series that we were the superior hockey nation. We're going to do it for the Cold War, for ourselves, for the game of hockey. And now we're finally, through all the tactics and all the struggles, 34 seconds away from actually winning a series that we were not proud of how close it really was. But all that matters now is we've got the lead and there's half a minute to go. And that's probably the longest 30 seconds of everybody's life.
Oh, yeah, and Phil Esposito still didn't come off the ice, and Pete Mahovlich went back on. So Henderson literally hops over the boards, scores a goal, comes off. So Pete Mahovlich went right back on the ice. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of the best moments in Canadian hockey history. And
how dejecting would this be if you're a Soviet? Like if you're a Russian,
heartbreaking. I would be like, man. Well, like Beta said, right? It's like you, by the definition of an 8-game series, does settling it with like an aggregate in the event that there's a tie. Canada's winning this series for 34 seconds versus you having the lead. And I think like that's part of it. It's like, not only did you like coming back from Canada, the Soviets would have been up 2-1-1, right? They win the first game in Moscow to go up 3-1-1 and then lose the last 3 games of the series. But also you were up 5-3 heading into the third period. And Canada scores 3 goals in the third period. Esposito basically just put the team on his back in the third, played what felt like almost every shift, 3 points in the third period, 4 points in the game as a whole. Somehow not named MVP of this game. I have no idea why. I get that Henderson scored the goal, but like, I don't get it. Most mind-boggling vote decision ever made.
Pat Stapleton allegedly picked up the puck, and to this day, it's still in his family's possession, allegedly. Ooh. No one really wants to know, like, because it's something so special. Does it belong in the Hall of Fame? Maybe Indiana Jones would be like, it belongs in a museum, but no one really thought about it. It was just there after the game was called, after the buzzer sounded. Pat Stapleton picked up the puck, and that's probably the greatest trophy of the whole series. And it might still be in his family's possession now that Stapleton passed away a couple of years ago. And for the time being, we can say, no matter how close it was or how some fishy tactics were fissured into the series, we were still the superior nation. We came out on top so gradually. Very, very tight series, but 6-5 to win the series, 4-3-1. 1972 ice hockey, best on best, first time ever, Canada.
Yeah, one of the great moments in hockey history, maybe the greatest. I think it's probably number one, right?
I mean, like what else competes with it though?
Yeah.
Like
maybe, Miracle on Ice, or Olympics, something like that.
I was just, like, I think maybe the golden goal, but that might just be a generational thing.
Yeah.
I think the golden goal is definitely a second to the Summit Series as far as important Canadian international accomplishments. Miracle on Ice is involved in there too if we're talking about overall international ice hockey competitions and challenges. But yeah, I mean, like, we could be biased, and a lot of millennials would say golden goal just because they haven't really invested their time into. People don't even want to invest their time into understanding how important this was to them. If it's not relevant to them, it's not relevant at all. But in the greater scheme of things, the greater context of beyond hockey, but the hockey itself, if you sit down for 2 hours, 16 minutes and watch this game and maybe watch a few more games in the series and really understood what it was all about and how important it was to the greater good, this is far more superior than the golden goal. And I think it always should be. And hopefully next year on the 50th anniversary, it's commemorated to the point where everybody can look back and be like, we did it.
Well, I'm super glad we ended the season on this one. It was a high note. It's a great season, lads. And before we close it out, how'd you guys enjoy this past season? And if you have any favorite moments, feel free to share them.
Yeah, it was. I'm really happy that we were able to see the season through because, as we mentioned in the first episode of the season, when we did that snake draft of games, which was in mid-January when we started that, so it's been almost a 4-month process through this winter and the spring. It was great to spend time with you guys virtually because, in fact, we haven't seen each other, the three of us, all together since before that we started season 2. So we've always been getting together, the three of us, the last 4 months this way. Yeah, I liked the structure. I liked how it was more organized this season. We knew ahead of time what we were going to do, and we really got into a good flow. And take a little bit of a break now, watch the playoffs in the present day, watch the NHL playoffs, see if they can make any classic games amongst themselves, and maybe we will return before you know it with the third season. I'll just say one more thing about this game in particular, just to put something else in context. So Canada, in 2 days after this, on Saturday the 30th, they played Czechoslovakia in a friendly game in which they tied it 3-3. So it's another game that you could be like, wow, they didn't dominate the way that they thought, but they had to score just a few seconds to go to tie the game. It was a really important game to Stan Mikita, who's Czechoslovakian, of course. So he played his birth country. He was actually born in Slovakia. So they played that game, then they promptly flew back to Montreal's Dorval Airport, where they were greeted by about 10,000 fans who mobbed the team upon their arrival. And then a couple days later, they had a parade at Nathan Phillips Square in downtown Toronto. 80,000 fans showed up for that, which is only 4% of the reported parade attendance for the Toronto Raptors 2019 NBA Championship Parade. 4% of that. And 80,000 is still an enormous number all around the square to honor the team that were voted Team of the Century. Some sort of reputable magazine publication said that Team Canada 72, most important team of the entire 20th century. Alexander Yakushev, in his Hall of Fame induction speech that Kirill read in English, he said something I think about a lot, and it showed the graciousness of the Soviets when they lost. Yakushev, in his speech in 2018, said, "There were no winners and losers in that series when it all came down to it. The true winner was hockey in all of its majesty."
It was an outstanding series which determined the winner, Team Canada, with only 30 seconds left in the last game. But there also couldn't be a loser in that series. The winner was hockey in all its majesty.
So I think that's kind of a great way to encapsulate the entire essence of why we do these games, fellas. Classic puck review. The winner is always hockey for the greater good, and more classic games to come. There's always several more we could do and several more that are always being made as we make them ourselves. You never know what a classic game might entail, but Summit Series that put the kibosh on that. What a game and what a season. So it's been great to be in good company with my homies here the last 4 months.
What a mushy way to end that.
I know. You're bringing a tear to my eye there.
Hey.
Jeez, what a hockey is the winner. It's just, it makes me tear up. It was like this and like Avengers Endgame, especially the things that have made me cry lately.
Derek, what do you think? Do you have any moments from the season that stick out to you? Do you have any final thoughts on our second season?
Yeah, I thought this season was a lot of fun. I love Beta's idea of doing a draft. I thought that made it kind of that did make it, I think, both a little bit more fun for us and kind of more manageable as the season wore on. And it'd be interesting. Maybe we can come up with some like fun theme or something for the next season, kind of do a bit of a draft again. But, I thought it was obviously it was kind of fun to do a game that I was actually at. I thought that was enjoyable too, kind of mix in a little bit of that personal experience. I did, it's funny. I think part of like doing the draft too, it's kind of fun to see where everyone's like personalities and, where their fond memories of certain games kind of line up. And, I think we got to definitely keep doing that. And as kind of Beta said, I mean, with the time we're in, this is about as most social interaction as I get. So, I mean, it's always fun just hanging out and hanging out with you guys and watching some classic hockey games. And, and to add on to Yakushev, it's just like, yeah, hockey is the winner. And, we are also the winners by getting to spend this valuable time with each other. So,
wow, you just had to take it to another level of mush. Eh?
There you go. Yeah, I'm not letting you have all the mushiness here.
That's nice, man. Good stuff.
What a great way to cap season 2. Cole Henderson with the goal of a lifetime. Foster Hewitt with the call of a lifetime. Shout out Foster. What a show, boys. You can find Classic Puck Review on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Facebook, and of course, laymansports.com. And until next season, on behalf of Derek and Beta, I'm Robbie. Thanks for listening.